think it's so strange.
Hey! I'm Gina.
I'm Julia.
This is Scenes from the Couch. We watched Sinners.
Yeah, and before that we watched Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh,
so we'll
shoot. Oh, yeah, that's
that
right.
one, too.
Okay, well, let's do Sinners first.
All right, we went in the theater.
Yeah, we walked to the theater and we saw Sinners with Ben. And we're not going to spoil this for you.
Unlike all of the other movies,
Yeah.
which are old and you should have watched them by now, or, we're definitely going to keep the spoilers to an absolute minimum, as little as possible, just to give our opinions.
Yeah, we'll give our opinions, but no real details and things like that. That will kind of ruin it for you. So, no spoilers, or at least, well, we have to talk about some things, but maybe just more our reactions than...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Except for what you know from the movie poster, we shouldn't give you more than that.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I liked it. I would give it a 4-star, possibly. All right, let me rephrase this. I would give it a 5-star if you're judging it against like teenager slasher movies, horror movies. I would give it a 5 stars. Is it the type of movie that I like to watch? Absolutely not. I don't like any violence anymore, or blood and guts and I mean, can we say what kind of movie it is? I mean, that's kind of out there already.
I think it's on the posters.
All right, it's a vampire movie. So as you can imagine, there's fangs and blood and all of that stuff. But there's also, it's like Mississippi, picking cotton kind of era back in like 1930s. Ku Klux Klan was like, alive and well everywhere. And so you meet these characters, and I thought they did a good job of, I was really surprised to see the Asian people there, that there was a mix of different diversities in the film. It wasn't just black and white, and
they migrated around the world a long time ago, so they you can find them everywhere. Africa, San Francisco, long ago. So I liked it that they included them, because that was a little bit of realism that you don't often see, because
right.
it seems unusual, and you sort of forget that it might have that's how we got General Tso's chicken. Was that early immigration.
Yeah.
So my opinion is I wouldn't give it more than a 3 stars. I found it okay. I thought there were positives and negatives, and I'll give you my positives before I tell you the negatives. First of all, as she said, it's set in 1930s Mississippi Delta, and one of the primary aspects that's kind of a theme throughout the whole movie is their music. And it just so happens that Mississippi Delta Blues is really up there with my top favorite genre of music. So as soon as they started bringing out the steel guitar and playing Delta, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I loved it. I loved the music. And they made a point, too, of... They wove in a lot of supernatural, obviously because it's a vampire movie, there were supernatural aspects, but they mixed in, it wasn't just a pure vampire movie, they mixed in other Black cultural, voodoo, historical traditions with other types of supernatural ideas. And I thought that was really creative, that they mixed in, different traditions of supernatural folklore. And also, along with that, they talk about music as being the gateway to these forces, these supernatural forces of both good and bad, and even that they, claimed could transcend the boundaries of life and death. And they had some really interesting scenes that depicted what they meant by that. So it was an interesting composite of a lot of different ideas that I hadn't seen before in one movie, and a fun, creative mix. So that was positive. And then at some point, They did a lot of, it spanned many years. It started out in the 1930s. It ended in 1992, Chicago. And
you're not going to say what we saw, though.
I'm not going to say what it was, but
Okay.
I'm going to say that the actor who played in the end scene was Buddy Guy, and I was in 1992.
That's a spoiler,
Chicago.
though.
It's not a Chicago. Nobody knows what that means. Literally, nobody has any idea what the actor would be doing. Anyway, the point is I was in Chicago in 1992, seeing Buddy Guy in
Me
Buddy
too.
Guy's Legends. And at the same time, I was also seeing my absolute favorite musician in the world, Juke Joint Jake, playing in that same Buddy Guy's Legends nightclub. And so they had a juke joint in this movie. So like this all just kind of was like taking me back in time to my time in Chicago. Although this wasn't set in
Mine
Chicago.
too. I lived there too.
So those were my positives. The negatives were that as a kind of gore slasher, vampire, whatever movie, it was just rife with the complete, cliched stupidity where, I'm not going to say what actually happened, but there were just so many instances that were the equivalent of the girl running out into the dark and then falling.
And tripping and falling.
Tripping and
get
falling.
up, get up. There were
just
so
can't
many.
even, it wasn't that exactly, but it was on that level.
Yeah.
Tons of that, which was just like really annoying. But at the same time, there were also really gory and kind of scary things where I found myself having to kind of do my usual mantras. These are just actors. And then
I did the same thing. I'm like, this isn't real.
Imagine the people with the cameras, just out of the shot.
Yes.
So that I can sort of separate myself.
I did that.
So it was scary, even though there were lots of stupid cliches. It was effectively scary if you like being scared. I don't like being scared.
It was scary.
Well, anyway, those are my negatives, and along with that, it's also there were just a lot of loose ends, as is often the case with supernatural movies, where it just doesn't make a lot of sense when you start, breaking it down. All right, so that's it. I gave it a 3 because there were other aspects, like I said, that were interesting, and historical, and nice scenes, beautiful costumes from the time.
Yeah,
and
beautiful panoramic visions of the cotton fields and the old car, the old car going down the middle road with the cotton fields going on for miles and miles. I mean, it was a beautifully shot film, and I thought the acting was pretty good. It was just that there was very annoying things, like stupid idiot, why would you do that kind of moments where...
There weren't a lot of people in the audience, but there were moments where they did such stupid things that everybody in the audience just groaned, like, oh, no, like, why?
Yeah.
Like how, really, is everybody that stupid in real life? No. But you have to just, I guess they just have to do that so that they can create all those scary scenes, because nobody has any sense.
Yeah. There was a scene at the end that really made me tear up, and I felt a lot of emotion because there is, biblical stuff in it. It's the good and evil fighting, and, there's a lot of religious symbolism in it and stuff. And there was a scene at the end that really did it for me, and I got a little thing in my throat. And a little tear kind of slid out my face. I thought it was a very sweet, tender moment at the end. I mean, all in all, I think it's worth seeing. I mean, I would have not been comfortable not seeing it, considering everyone's saying it's one of the best movies of the year. So we would have seen it regardless, because...
This was rated 98% by the critics and 97% by the audience, which is incredibly high.
It is.
I can't explain why it would be that highly rated.
Well,
I don't
Ben
think
really
it was
liked
actually
it.
That good.
But Ben loved it.
Yeah,
so we
but
know
is it
that
up
age
there
group.
in the 98th percentile? I don't think so.
I think it depends on the age group. I mean, if you're comfortable and you're younger and you love the slasher films, you love the horror genre, that's your genre, which was actually my genre back in my teenage years. Ellen and I used to watch, Friday the 13th.
You dragged me to one of those.
And, Halloween and Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, and all of those movies I could not get enough of. but frankly, when, reality, but I think if you like that genre, you will love this because there's more to it. It's not just about violence. There is a good story. There's some, it's beautifully shot and it's interesting characters. And you know what scene I really loved was when the party started and the music was going and all of a sudden it was like really kind of a cool camera angle throughout the whole, they were dancing. Do you remember that? The music shifted and turned in kind of like an unusual deep beat.
That's because of the time travel aspect of music.
The time travel. Oh yes,
depicting.
The time travel aspect was depicted, and then you got to see.
But it transcends space and time and life and death. They were depicting that in that scene.
Yeah, and I liked that scene a lot.
It was a good one.
That was a really good scene. There are scenes that are worth seeing, but is it the type of movie that I like now? No, I like rom-coms now. That's what I like, or documentaries. I love documentaries.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of, I could even handle a scary movie, but it wasn't really, it was good, but not great from my point of view.
I liked it. I would recommend it. Again, I would give it almost 5 stars if you like that kind of genre. I thought it was very well done. Who's the main character in it?
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, he was hot.
All right,
you can't say anything else. No, he was just hot. I know what you were about to say, but he's really hot in it. He is really, really good looking, muscular and handsome, except for the teeth. There's a lot of grills and things in the teeth, but I guess that's all I have to say about that. Because we still have to do Kentucky Fried Movie, which will probably be a less than 5-minute review.
Yep, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.